Hi, I'm Claudia Brown Coulter with Pivotal Peace. I am a mediator and I'm your go-to mediator for navigating divorce while parenting children with special needs. I'm also an LDA, legal document assistant based in the greater Los Angeles area. Welcome to Mediation Mondays. Today we're talking about the pros and cons of mediating your divorce. So we're going to talk about things you need to know. This video is broken down into 4 parts. Part 1 is, look, I got to look at my notes. I got notes, people. Shoot. Don't hate me. Part 1 is the benefits, right? Because there's always benefits to something. Part 2 are drawbacks of using the mediation system. Number 3 is we're going to compare mediation to other ways to solve your divorce. And number 4, tips to decide if mediation is right for you, because it's not right for everyone. So one of the benefits of mediation is that it is cost effective. Instead of you both paying attorneys, you are paying one mediator. So you both have fees? No, you're splitting the mediator's fee. So it's cost effective. It can be time saving because you're not waiting for the court calendar to open up so that you can get before a judge. You have a little bit more control over the outcomes, meaning while you can't control what your spouse does, at least the two of you are negotiating on what an agreement should be rather than just leaving it to the hands of a judge and letting the judge decide. And especially if you have children with special needs, the judge doesn't know. I've seen cases where, there's a couple and they have a child with special needs and they're disagreeing. The judge is not deciding on that case. The judge is making them go to mediation. So it's always better. The more control you can have over the outcome, the better your results will be, the happier you'll be, and you'll be more likely to comply with what you've agreed upon. People who have a mediated agreement are more likely to follow through with it than if it's an adjudicated agreement that the judge just handed down the decision. It's private and confidential. We've talked about this a lot. People can't just come into your mediation session and like they can in the courtroom and just sit in the peanut gallery and judge you. It's confidential and private. No one else is there. It's not being recorded. It's not being put on display. It's not anybody else's business. This is a chance for you to reduce conflict. There's something about being in court that's scary and you feel like you've got to armor up. So you've got to put your armor on to protect you. And then maybe you need to kind of metaphorically arm yourself too, so that you can be ready for anything that happens, so that you can snap back as quick as possible. Whereas in mediation, it's eventually going to reduce that conflict because you're learning how to communicate. And then this is customized, especially if you have children that have special needs or any sort of needs that are, not cookie cutter. You're going to want to customize this program to you, even if it's I have family overseas and I always go to visit them and I want my spouse to not try to stop that. Let's talk about that in mediation so we can create a customized vacation calendar for you so that you can go overseas like you normally do. It's about transparency and openness. So some of the drawbacks to mediation are that it's not always appropriate. Especially if there is a feeling of I am not safe mediating with this person. If there's a history of domestic violence. Now, I will say, being on Zoom helps a lot because you're not in the same building, you're not in the same place, you're not running to each other in the parking lot, you're in your space, they're in their space. It's private. You could be in a breakout room, they could be in a breakout room if it really is that bad. But you have to feel safe enough to negotiate. You cannot be in mediation and then be bullied. You don't want to be there and be bullied into an agreement. If you feel like you're going to go to mediation and just get bullied, it is better for you to go to a judge and have a judge decide. In mediation, we cannot give you legal advice. And here's what I see. People say, oh, but I really want a mediator who's also attorney. Okay, but that person in the seat of the mediator is not allowed to give you any sort of legal advice. I need you to be aware of that. It might, you might end up agreeing to something that's not something that the court would have sanctioned. They'll sign off on it, but it might not be straight 50-50, and you could find yourself walking away with more debts than assets So this is part of the reason why I always tell my clients, okay, great, you have an agreement. Now go talk to an attorney. Go spend some money. Go spend like an hour of the attorney's time. Have them read this agreement, because you need somebody to give you legal advice and to advocate for you and to help you think about, maybe you should change this, or this is a great agreement. You better sign that. And then your agreements in mediation are not binding until you've signed it, until the judge has signed off on it as well. So although for the most part, once you sign off on it and it goes to court, that's the point of no return. But it's not uncommon for somebody to come to a mediation session, say they're going to do one thing, and then come back the next week and change their mind. This is why a lot of times in commercial mediations, they don't let you leave. You're just there 12, 13 hours. No joke. You can't do that in family mediation. You built a life together. You can't disentangle it in one day. You don't have to. Emotionally, that's rough. And I would say, if you're going to do 12 hours in family mediation, that's going to be quite pricey. It's not just going to be an hourly rate. You're going to pay like a full day rate. It's going to be very, very expensive. Now, there are other processes to finish your divorce besides just mediating your divorce. So you can litigate your divorce. You can get a lawyer or not, and you can go to court and have a judge decide. I will tell you though, even for people who have attorneys, most divorces are settled out of court. Maybe they go to court once, but they still end up settling out of court. Most cases don't go to trial. They end up in their attorney's office and they make a deal. There is also something called a collaborative divorce. And a collaborative divorce is a very specialized practice where there's a set and a group of collaborative professionals. So you each have an attorney, you usually each maybe have a therapist or, a financial person, you have one mediator that's working with you. And so it can get really pricey, but the goal is that you're surrounded by the people who support and the support that you need, and they're there to help you reach an agreement. But if things fall apart and you have to end up going to court, you have to start from scratch. You can no longer use your attorney that you used through the collaborative process. You both have to find new attorneys. So it could take longer. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's just different. So you have to kind of decide, is that for me? And then you could just, go the uncontested route, which really, honestly, this is if you don't mediate. If you don't mediate and you guys just work out a deal on your own, you can definitely do that. The California Judicial Council website has fantastic instructions on what to do at each step of the journey. They also, every court has a self-help desk where you can ask them questions. They can tell you, they don't give you legal advice, but they can tell you what to do, how to file things. So that's an option too, if just we're going to figure out this agreement on our own. Great. That's totally fine. So how do you decide if mediation is right for you? You've got to look at your spouse and yourself and go, do we trust one another enough to make an agreement and stick to it? Can we even agree to mediate? Do we feel safe? Or are they going to just try to manipulate the process? Are we both willing to be in mediation? Do you think are you willing to consult with the family law attorney? Because maybe that person is not mediating your divorce, but then they can consult with you. They can help you throughout the process. They don't just have to help you at the end. They can help you navigate during the process to help you advocate for yourself and really think of ways to negotiate. And then you have to consider your priorities. What's important to you? Is privacy really important? Then you don't want to go to court. Is fairness the most important thing, and just having everything split down the middle just like a judge would do? Then the judge should probably decide that, because mediation is a creative solution. If you want more control over the process, mediation is is essential to this discussion, because you do have more control. And then most importantly, if you want to protect the privacy of your children and the needs that they have, then you want to stay out of court as much as possible. And you really want to take the time to craft a plan that is in their best interest, that is thinking about them. All right, if you have any questions, please drop them below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next week for Mediation Mondays. Bye.